I grew up in America. I spent there until my age of 8. And then I came back to Japan. And I went to Keio University, normal student. And when I was in Keio, I did an internship at Manex Group. Anyone know about Manex Group? Okay, so Manex Group is one of the largest online brokerage firm, and in 2004, 2005, the company was like one of the most innovative financial institutions in Japan, led by former Goldman Sachs partner, and it was really exciting working in Manex because I had no experience dealing with money moving around, and share price, all the indexes, they all go up and down. So things changes pretty fast in financial world, which makes me feel that I want to actually devote myself into the industry more. And after I graduated from Keio, I joined Nomura back then. Right after I joined Nomura, I was in the investment banking division, doing M&A, financing advice, these kind of stuff. And, financial crisis happened. So Lehman Brothers back then went bankruptcy, and as you know, Nomura bought Lehman's European business and also Asia business. And I was sent to Europe back then, and I had to do lots of, I had to help a lot of transactions that's going on, and also I had to be involved in PMI process, post-merger integration process. I learned a lot during that period because so many talented people working in Lehman, but the business wasn't profitable at all. Many high-rank bankers getting paid a lot, but the organization wasn't, working properly. I think, recent case where Deutsche Bank is now facing with, they have to, restructure the organization. They have to restructure security division, and this trend was pretty obvious even back in 2008. And I was lucky because I could feel it, that things are not working out at these, really critical companies or places. And then I joined Goldman Sachs because, one of the counterparty guy, he asked me to come because I was obviously one of the most hardworking junior back then. Goldman Sachs, any investment bank, what they all need is young guy or young girl who can spend 24 hours at office. So that was one thing. Goldman Sachs, I was in the investment banking division as well. Throughout my career in the investment bank, was dealing with large clients, big firms, really critical ones. Sometimes Japanese firms acquiring overseas businesses, sometimes vice versa. In the financial world that's dealing with these large firms, public companies, all information's out there. There's no much thing that you can, move the industry to the next level, because information is out there, data is out there. There's many different banks chasing many different deals, many different approaches. And also, you need to remember that companies who's receiving those investment banks advices, they have experienced people in the firm. So Goldman will advise A, Morgan Stanley will advise B, and JP Morgan C, and Nomura D. The treasury guy or the CFO understands what they need to do based on a lot of different options. This was kind of a standard world that I was dealing with, but there was a moment when I was helping out my friend's small company where only they have like 5 employees or less, and they had to struggle with financing stuff, and they don't know what to do about it, and there's no much choice. And I was thinking, in Japan, there's millions of companies that that doesn't know what to do, or they don't even have an idea or help from financial institutions. And this experience made me quit this established world and come to startup area. And back then when I started my firm, the main concept that I had is public market versus private market. So public market, as you know, every company is big, it's listed, you can easily get the latest financial statements, you have lots of articles about that, many equity analysts covering the company, and the price of the share is set at the level where all the participants in the market agrees on, right? So, but if you go to private market, there's no much data available, and unless you are a investment manager in, let's say, private equity firm, you don't have a chance to see what's going on at those small, subscale, small businesses. And how many people know Bloomberg? Yeah, I think almost everyone knows Bloomberg. So Bloomberg, as you know, aggregates many data from public sources. And first, data is available to everyone. If you have the machine, it's so expensive, but if you have the machine, you can access to any data, any sort of data you want. And nowadays, I think they don't actually share the hardware, but they, have cheaper plan that you don't need to install big things, but you can just access online. Just sign up, log in, and access. The second part that Bloomberg provides value is they have all sorts of reliable data. It's reliable, right? Because think about it, financial statements, it's audited by Big Four, okay? Let's just forget about Nissan or whatever, because as you know, it has some trouble. But most data online is pretty reliable, and there's a lot of different information out there, right? To the extent that people can't, follow up too many data. That's also a problem. But second, all sorts of reliable data is, in the platform. Third, the data is updated real time, right? Share price is updated every single second. Financial statements is basically updated every quarter. It's real time. And if you have the data available to everyone and all sorts of data is reliable and it's updated real time, you can do so many different things using that data. But remember, private market is totally different world. It's a jungle. So I wanted to bring in transparency and sharing system to this jungle so that we can go to the next level using so many different data. So this was some background about me doing business and what was the concept that I had back then. It's still continuing. And the key trend that pushed me to quit Goldman and start this business was open banking. In 2006, I think no one talked about open banking when I quit, but there were few evangelists who were talking about open banking, and many regulators were starting to have preliminary dialogue about opening up these kind of information. What is the legal framework that they need to prepare? And I thought, I should quit now before things get started. And what is open banking? As Norbert said, Japan is one of the most advanced countries which embraced this concept and enforced it, actually. Many different countries, they're all talking about open banking, but in terms of legal framework, I think UK, Japan, they were the first two countries to do it. And after 2 years, in 2008, UK first enacted new banking act, which has this open banking concept, and the key components are these 4 points. So first, banks, as you know, hold many record of everything, every money that we spend in daily life, and lending it and borrowing it. But as you know, large firms, they suck. So they don't make much use of it, right? They don't appreciate the data they have, and they're just leaving it in their system but doing nothing about it. Second, open banking forces banks, this is important, to release their data in a secure, standardized form, which is, as you know, API, so that it can be shared more easily between authorized organizations online. And this is the outline of how related parties are enacted to each other. So let's say you are the bank holder, right? You have cash flow data. You receive a salary, you repay a debt, maybe for your kids' education, food, whatever. And your bank, Mitsubishi, Sumitomo, Mizuho, I don't know, Citibank, whatever, they possess this data on their system. And so far, without this open banking concept, what you could do was, scraping stuff, right? You don't knock the door of the bank and say, hey, I want to connect to your system so that I can aggregate your data in a very secure way. It wasn't like that. But from 2018, UK and Japan actually did this. They passed a bill, and it's now starting. And we are one of the first licensed, authorized organizations in Japan. Other authorized organizations, they're like SoftBank, they're like KDDI, they're like Docomo, and few other publicly traded crowd-based accounting firms. So this is a very new concept. And third, open banking makes it possible to pass this rich information to third parties who can use it to create new products, like us. We will talk about it later. And last, it's not an app or service in its own right. It's a way of facilitating data sharing. The account holder who must give their explicit approvals in exchange. So which means, yes, now account holders' data is available to third parties, but the key thing is the account holder himself or herself has the right to own the data, not the banks, which means you need to get approval from the account holder as an authorized organization to actually use it and provide it to third party. Well, basically this is very natural concept, but sometimes organizing regional banks don't understand this. That was open banking concept in general. Let's talk about open banking concept in our world. Our world is finance, provided by regional banks or large mega banks to SMEs, small businesses. Normally, number of employees is less than, let's say, 10 people, 20 people. In average, it's like 5 people maybe. In terms of revenue, annual revenue, most companies, they're less than $1 million. So they're pretty small. In this world, the traditional finance was like this. So banks provide loan to SME, right? But Bank A, Bank A can only check Bank A information. Of course, you can't see other banks' information. But like we always do, we deal with many different banks. We don't stick to a single bank. So SMEs, they normally have like 3-6 different bank accounts. So for Bank A, it doesn't make any sense to just look at the piece of data that doesn't represent the whole company. So what we're doing now is to ask SMEs to open up their data, whole data in each different bank, and we will aggregate it, and we will provide you a better lending experience, and also we will provide you some accurate forecast of the cash flow going forward, and we will help you do daily, accounting stuff. Well, I would say it's not accounting stuff, but cash management stuff. Accounting services, they're doing it all. We're not doing accounting stuff. We're doing cash management. So, small firms, they always care about the cash balance in their bank account, right? Because there's always this risk where you will end up having no money in your bank account and go bankruptcy. So we also provide these data to Bank A, which is a game-changing stuff, which is highly, highly disruptive. And I will talk about this. Well, I will quickly, talk about this page. The way how we engage users is not through, online marketing, these kind of stuff. We partner with regional banks first, and then we ask them to, pitch the service to their customer, SMEs, and ask them to sign up. So we're spending 0 marketing expense so far, but we're receiving so many inquiries, we're receiving so many sign-ups. Because banks really need this. So FinTech and banks, it means customer acquisition war, right? This is market overview of Japan's SME lending market. So total debt outstanding, aggregating all companies in Japan, the amount is like $5 trillion US. Japan is still the 3rd largest country in the world, but this debt outstanding, the amount itself is huge compared to their GDP size. And SME market is like 3.5 trillion US dollar, which is also huge. So you can see that Japan is not driven only by Toyota or Sony. They're actually still, driven by these, enormous amount of SMEs. And there's 3.1 million small businesses in Japan. So you'll see how big the market is. But at the same time, you'll see how competitive the market is. We have over 500 banks across the country. And the competition is fierce. Everyone is trying to find new loan opportunity, lending opportunity. But it's not easy. So, which means everyone pitches the same thing to the same company. And at the end, if you do that, it's they're going to compare all the terms of each proposal, and the interest rate will go down. And as you know, that level of interest rate is lower than the risk premium the company has. So it's a very, it's a huge market, and it's really competitive, which means in US, in China, there's so many P2P lending platforms out there, right? That is because there's a huge unserved market, especially in China. But as you can see, Japan is a different place, right? So the way we deal with banks, the way we try to deliver our service, scale our service, is going to be different from those in the US or in China. Let's look at Tokyo, right? Tokyo is the largest market, 2 trillion. So the battle in Tokyo, right? These are the banks you all know: MUFG, Mizuho, Sumitomo, and I would add Risona. Let's look at the market share. MUFG, they hold 24% of the total transactions. In terms of the amount of, well, this is tricky. I need to explain to you. We need to, have two different concepts. One, banks have relationship with their customer SME through their account itself. So just enabling your customer to, transfer money, the payment stuff. And the second way to have a relationship with your customer is providing both, right? So payment relationship and lending relationship, they are different. And this market share shows the payment ratio. MUFG 24%, Mizuho 20%, Mitsui Sumitomo less than 20%, and including Risona, they have around 70% of the total market, which means 70% of the cash flow data, all the data, is possessed by only 4 banks, right? But one of the most interesting parts in this market is that if you look at the lending relationship part, the market share it's totally different. I would say we don't have actual data, precise data, but I would say in talking to many different regional banks, I think regional banks on the right-hand side have 70% of the total market. You see this imbalance, right? There's a difference between this 70-30 and 30-70, which means there's so many risk money, lending money, which doesn't capture, payment data. They don't understand the risk of the company, but they're yet providing loan. So this is very, very dangerous if you just leave it, okay? But the competition, again, is fierce. And what we're doing now, regional banks, they're, you might think they're small, but they're actually big. They all have assets over, at least 10 billion or 50 billion, from 10 to 50 billion. So it's not a subscale. They're still huge financial institutions. And there's 10 names here, right? I can't name each of them, but 7 out of 10, they're already our partner banks. Nikkei article announced, we published about our news that we're partnering with Asahi Bank, Kiraboshi Bank, and Joboku Shinkin Bank. But there's many things going on. There's many things that's going on that's not on the news. And the reason why they're already partnering with us is because they want to have access to these big banks' data, right? So they're providing 70% of the loan. So they deserve, checking at least 70% of the cash flow data in this market. And we're helping them to do that. And actually, we're not just doing 70%, we're doing 100%. How many people watched Last Sawamura? Okay, great. Especially I'm glad that, many foreigners, they watch Last Sawamura. It's my, one of my favorite movies. So, Tom Cruise, very handsome guy. The historical background is that Japan was moving from samurai society to modernized military organization. And we call that movement from 1860 to 1910 something, Meiji Restoration. This picture is about the meeting with Meiji Emperor and other generals, right? They're discussing that they feel really threatened by Tsushima samurais. No, not Tsushima. Satsuma, right? Yeah, exactly. I'm Japanese. Thank you very much for correcting me. Satsuma, right? Satsuma, they were so strong. They had military power, bigger than central government back then, because they had a relationship with UK back then. UK decided to partner with, Satsuma, not central government back then. So they were really scared about the fact that they can't defeat Satsuma, and they were discussing. And well, after the discussion, they decided to, have a negotiation with UK, and they bought so many, guns. That's better than the Satsuma people had back then, and because they got this strong weapon, they eventually defeated Satsuma, and Watanabe can just commit suicide. This story is interesting because what's happening now is like the same, right? Central government back then was just a group of people, not united. I would say it's just a coalition among different cities in Japan, so they were not united. But because they had to have this kind of weapon, they united, and they relied on UK. And this made them win the war, the Civil War. I think we are the UK. I think we can provide what the regional banks need. And the fact that there's so many inquiries that we're having from them, I really feel open banking has many different areas, right? There's consumer market, there's business market. I'm just talking about business market, so my view is just limited. So, but at least from my point of view, I think it's working. I think the country is changing. I think we are leveraging this situation. And that's it. So this is Nikkei article talking about us. Many large financial institutions, the next day we are on Nikkei article, they just, reach out to us without thinking anything. Just forget about what I said. But anyway, these, media coverage is very important, at least in Japan. We have 14 partner banks. We will see 50 banks joining our platform in the next year. We want to expand this number to 200 in the next couple of years. We're positive about this. Things are changing. I will talk about data platform war as my last part. And these services. Everyone is talking about cashless kessai in Japan now. 7pay? Exactly. There's definitely someone who didn't understand, 2FA at the top of the organization. I'm worried about that fact, but let's forget about it. So PayPay, consumer data platform, right? We're not in consumer data platform, we're in business data platform. So PayPay, D-Buy, AU Pay, Rakuten Pay, Line Pay, and Origami. I personally want to, encourage and support Origami because they're also startup. But let's look at the numbers, right? I think there's, different views from mine, but I personally see this market as a battle where, your own brand and promotion capability, matters. Actually, it's everything, right? So let's look at the numbers. PayPay, they have SoftBank Group on their back. Their annual investment, right, is $27 billion. They have $35 billion on their balance sheet as cash. Docomo, they spend $15 billion every year. They have $9 billion cash on their balance sheet. KDDI, they spend $7 billion. They have $2 billion subscale compared to forward to telecom companies, but they're huge, right? They're huge, and don't forget. I mean, I think you already know, but their brand is so famous, right? There's no one who doesn't know about SoftBank, Docomo, KDDI. There's so many users, right? Rakuten, they spend $600 million every year. Line, $500 million, right? Origami, they raise like 60 to 70 million US dollar. So I just split it into two different kind of investment and cash flows. I don't know, this number is wrong, but you will see these dynamics, right? This is not the market where technology matters. Well, security matters, obviously. But security is everything, and it's not like the design matters. It's not like the user experience matters. I don't know. Maybe there's people who have different view, but comparing to different category, different area of businesses, I think this is very, very this market is very, very dependent on brand and promotion itself. Well, business data platform war, it's still in the beginning. It's still in the beginning. I just show some of the logos here. Mitsubishi, Sumitomo, Mizuho, they're all doing their own cash flow based lending. They claim that they're using AI. Who laughed? Well, these guys are big, everyone knows it, but they can't become a platform because do you think Sumitomo or Mizuho want to partner with Mitsubishi to share data? It's impossible. And on the other hand, money forward, free. How many people know about these things? Right. They are the one of the few very successful startups in Japan. Money forward is already publicly traded. Free is going to be public, I think, soon. Well, they are capable, right? They are still startup. They have a very committed team, biz dev team. So every single bank we visit, they're already there. But yet, they're also providing their own crowd-based accounting system. And as you know, the Japanese accounting system, ecosystem, it's really fragmented, right? There's no single accounting system or accounting service that holds like the majority of the market share. It's like, I would say 20% maybe. So it's very difficult if you rely on accounting-based company, right? We can't aggregate all the data. We are totally neutral to banks. We're totally neutral to these accounting services, which made some of the banks to partner with us because they understand this point. They need a seamless platform. And the battle has just started. So no one knows who will win or what the market will end up. What is the mixture of the market? But I'm pretty excited that the large firms, successful startups, everyone is getting into this market, but yet we are the ones which has unique positioning and technology. Well, thank you very much for listening. I think I could only share some of the view that I have now. So I will just move on to Q&A session and